Hello, in this video, we will discuss how to manipulate SAS dataset. So usually we will start with a existing dataset and so then do some modification to the dataset and so produce a new SAS dataset. The syntax is something like this one. So say data, so then you specify a name of a new dataset. Then you say set, so existing dataset. And so then you will insert more statement here. What SAS do is, so SAS will essentially run those statements for every observation in the existing dataset and then write the output to the new dataset. So in this data step, so in this video, we will discuss the following. So drop unwanted variables and create or modify a variable, execute statements conditionally, or maybe specify a variable's length or subset data. So let's look at them one by one. So first, so how to keep or drop variables. So there are two ways to do it. So we can use a keep or drop option, or maybe we can use keep or drop statement. So keep is used to select the variable we want to keep, and the drop is used to specify the variable we want to drop. So for example, like this one, SAS help baseball. So this is a data set. So the name of the data set is baseball. So this data set exists in SAS help library, right? So see in the parentheses, so this is called a option. So option to this data set. So you specify keep equals, see, you just list the name of three variables. So in the resulting dataset, so we have only three variables, so name, team, and salary. And so all the remaining variables will be dropped. And so SAS will keep all observations for these three variables. So instead of doing that in this way, so this is an equivalent way to do it, right? See, I put the keep option. So instead of in the input dataset, so I put this option in the output dataset, right? So see, if I drop this part, so basically SAS will copy every variable and every observation from this existing dataset to this new dataset. Yeah, but with this option, so SAS will only keep the three variables in the output dataset. So the last one, so instead of use a keep option, so I use a keep statement, right? So statement, so it's written so in this way, it's not in the parentheses, right? So but we write in a statement inside the data step. Yeah, so here I just specify the name of the variables that I want to keep. If you can also use drop equivalent, right? Yeah. So if you have only a few variables to keep, of course, so we use keep option or keep statement. Or if you have only a few variables to drop, right? So you use a drop statement or drop option. Yeah, so let's try to see so how it looks like in this in SAS Studio. So for print, so let's just first show how the data looks like. Okay, you can see, so seems we have many variables and we have many observations, right? Yeah, so here, so I just create a new data set. So the name is selected one, right? So I only keep these three variables. Yeah, so if you run it, yeah, so make sure, so I will have a pro print. So the purpose is to display the contents of the newly generated SAS dataset. You can see, so only three variables are kept, so in this new dataset. So then this one essentially the same output, I mean the same result, right? And I just write this option in this, put the keep option in the output dataset. Okay, right? Looks like the same. Yeah, and so this is also the same, Okay, right. Well, some comments. The keep or drop statement only works for data step. Yeah, so if you want to use in other procedure, for example, so you cannot keep or drop statement, but you can always use a keep or drop option. I mean, just put that option in parentheses and put it after the name of the data set. Yeah, for example, so if you use print, right? So you only want to print out, I mean, just display the observations for 3 variables. Yeah, so this part, so this is what we do in the past, right? So use the var statement. And equivalently, so you can write the code in this way, right? So you use the keep option. Yeah, so just ask SAS, so only to process, to process these 3 variables. Yeah, you can check the output. So no output. Yeah, so then I just copy paste here. Okay, right. So see, yeah, SAS will only display 3 variables. Well, so be flexible, right? So which one to use just depend on your preference. So the next one, define new variables. Well, a assignment statement can be used to evaluate an expression and assign the resulting value to a variable. So usually, so we will write the statement in this way. So use this equal sign, right? So on the left-hand side, so then you put name of a variable. On the right-hand side, so this will be an expression. So expression so may involve number, characters, or maybe parentheses, or can be other mathematical operators, right? So like addition, subtraction, and so on. And so can also be some mathematical functions like sine, exponential, log, or maybe some other SAS supported functions. So let's show you one example. See, set salary, data salary. So this just tells us I want to create a new data set. So the name is salary. Okay. So then set, so start from this existing data set. So then I just want to have a variable salary. So this is salary times 1000. Yeah, because in the original data, so like this one, so the salary so is in the unit of $1,000. Yeah, so I just want to change the unit to dollars, right? So then I multiply the value by 1000. Okay. Yeah, so notice salary is a existing variable in the data set, right? So then you use salary multiplied by 1000, and so then you assign the value to salary itself. So basically you just replace the existing value of salary by the original value of salary multiplied by 1000. Okay. So this one we just create a rate, right? So this just will be the value of n home divided by the number of CR home. I mean a career home run. Okay, right? So I think let's see. Yeah, so we can check this one. Instead of show, yeah, so let me run this one. You can see. Well, so first I want to say, so here, for all variables in the existing dataset, so will be copied to the new dataset, right? So this is why, so although in the code, so since we only mentioned the variable salary, and those variable, and we create a new variable rate, right? Yeah, but all the existing dataset, I mean all the existing variables will be copied and will be saved in the output dataset, right? So that's why we have so many of them. Then in order to show the result, maybe we use var statement. Then we just check the variable we are interested, right? So we have salary. we have the number of home run and the career home run and so also the rate, right? Yeah, so we can check those. You can see, so salary just will be the original salary multiplied by 1000, right? So this rate is just computed just by the ratio of earn home and career home, right? Yeah, so this is, of course, when like for this one, cause 0 divided by 0, so cause, I mean, we cannot divide a number by 0, right? So then we have a missing here, yeah, cause, yeah, so then we have a missing here. Okay, so this is how to create a new variable. So then how about this one? Suppose we want to create some salary group, right? So if the salary is smaller than 190,000, yeah, so then we just assign this to a group. Yeah, so basically we just want to assign a character string to that observation. Yeah, so if salary is 4 in this range, and so we hope so the value of that variable will be this character string, and so on. So how to create a group as this? So then we need a conditional execution. The general statement is, so we will have if expression. So basically, according to this expression, so whether it is true or false, right? So if this expression is usually involves a logic operation. Logic operation just means usually so you compare two values, right? So if one is larger than the other, or if one is smaller than the other, or maybe some other logic operation. For logic operation basically means the result will be either true or false. Okay, so if the result is true, so then the statement after this then will be executed. So if the expression is false, so then the statement after else will be executed. Okay. Yeah. So here I also want to emphasize, so only one statement is allowed after then, or maybe the after else. Yeah. So if you have multiple statements, yeah, so you can group them. So using do and. Yeah. So you put do and you put and. So then you can put multiple statements in between. Yeah, so in this case, if the expression is wrong, if the expression is true, SAS will run those multiple statements. So you include it here, right? So if this expression is false, so SAS will run those multiple statements. You input it in this do and and. Okay. Yeah, so for logic operator, so those are just commonly used logic operator, right? So can be equal. So for example, so whether region equals this span, whether this basically just compare two string characters, right? So can be not equal, right? So this says region not equal to span, or maybe greater than or smaller than, and greater than or equal or less than or equal, right? Yeah, so on the right hand side, so it can be a kind of a constant, the constant string, or maybe can be a numerical number, right? Or can be another variable, or maybe some other expression. Here I also want to say, of course, mostly, so we may want to write those operators, so in terms of symbols. Yeah, but it is okay. So you write in letters. For example, like so equal, right? So you can just write EQ. Yeah, so like this one, EQ. SAS will interpret it as equal signs. Yeah, so you can also write GT. GT means greater than. Yeah, so GT, LT, NE, GE, and LE, right? So you can use those letters to indicate operators. Okay. That's one comment. So for equal, we just use equal sign for both assignment and equality, right? So I know, so for some programming language, for equal, for this logic operator equal, and so some programming language we will use two equal signs. Yeah, but in SAS, we just use one single equal sign. Yeah, so look at this statement. So although this is equal, so this is equal, essentially, so these two equal signs has different meaning. So the first one, so is the logic operator, right? So we just want to compare so whether the value of this variable equals t or not. And so this equals, so this is means a assignment, right? So we just assign the value of 1 to the variable score, okay? Yeah, so here, so we need to be careful when you try to compare characters, because the character comparison is case sensitive. So I mean, so in this case, for this comparison, so SAS distinguish capital letters and lowercase letters. So this is why usually, so if you want to do comparison, so you may want to use lowercase, use this function just convert the letter or letters to uppercase or to lowercase, right? For example, so you may say lowercase region equals span, right? Or maybe use uppercase of the region equals to span. Okay, let me show you. Yeah, I think how we will do that. Okay, yeah. So this is a good practice if you want to compare character strings. Well, it's also okay to write the code in this way. So since this is, you just put the name of the variable here, but you do not include a logic comparison, right? But this just means, well, if the value of the score is 0 or it is missing, so if the value is not 0 or not missing, right? So then SAS will treat it as true, and otherwise. So I mean, if the value is either 0 or missing, so SAS will treat it as false, right? Yeah. So this line just means, so if the score is not 0 and not missing, so then the value of the grade so will be valid. Okay. Yeah. I think I still need to discuss these slides. Comparison and the logic operator, right? So a logic operator, so for example, so means this and or not, yeah, so can be used to link two comparisons. So basically, link two comparisons, I mean, so something like that, right? So basically, we have a one comparison. So the result can be either true or false. Yeah. So then we have another comparison. So the result can be true or false. Yeah. So then we use and to connect them. So then the result just means, so if we use and, so the result is true if both comparisons are true. Yeah, so just means true and true, so the result is true, right? So if one of them is false, yeah, so then the result will be false. So if we use or, okay, so then the result will be true if either one is true, right? So true or true, so the result will be true. So true or false, result is also true. Yeah, but only false and or false, so the result will be false. Not, so just means the opposite, right? So not true, so will be false, and not false will be true. Yeah, so like this one, okay? So then we will show that in a example. So we have, I think so we use the blood example several times. So it has 4 variables, right? So the name, gender, systolic blood pressure, and diastolic blood pressure. So in this piece of code, so I want to create a new data set, so called blood new. Okay, so from the existing data set, so here I first want to create a new variable. You can see, so this new variable so will be the average of systolic blood pressure and the diastolic blood pressure, right? So the sum divided by 2. So in here, so I will have a basically if then else, right? So this just means, see, this is I use or to connect these two comparison. So if one of them is true, so then the result is true, right? So just means either systolic is greater or equal to 140 or diastolic is greater than or equal to 90, right? So then I create a variable high, right? So the value will be t. So otherwise just means this is not so means systolic is smaller than this one and diastolic is smaller than this one. So then high will be false. Okay. This one, so this is another comparison. Yeah, so this is an in operator. This is convenient for character variables. Yeah, so this just means if patient, so the value of the patient is one of these three, so then the result will be true. Okay, so if patient is one of these three, so then we define a variable select, so the value will be 1. Yeah, so here, so there is no else here, right? In fact, for the if then else statement, if and then is required, yeah, but else is not needed. So I didn't specify what the value if this is false, right? So then the value for the selected will be missing. Yeah, so let's run this code and to see how it looks like. So first I load the data. Okay, right, so this is data. Yeah, so then this is the code I just explained. Okay, so let's run it. You can see. So first I defined the average, so AVE, right? So as an average of systolic and diastolic. Yeah, so you can check so whether this is true or not. The high, so is defined to be the value will be either T or F, right? So the T just corresponds to either systolic is greater than or equal to 140 and or diastolic is greater than or equal to 70. Yeah, so you can check that. So the selected, so this is just defined basically is 1, right? So if the patient is CPGS or maybe SB, right? So see, if the patient is one of these three values, so selected will be 1, otherwise the value will be missing. Yeah, because so there is no else statement here, right? Okay. Yeah, so comments. If you want to assign a character string to a categorical variable, so then you need to make sure, so you use a quotation mark. Yeah, so use something like that. So if you directly write high equals t, no quotation mark. Yeah, so like this one. So if you say like high equal t, so no quotation mark. Yeah, so SAS will interpret this as name of a variable. So SAS will think, so you try to assign the value of t to variable high. Yeah, clearly, so this is not what you want, right? Because you want to assign letter t. Yeah, so then you need to add a quotation mark on both sides. We can update the value of an existing variable. I think we mentioned that, right? So this just means, so I want to have a variable score, right? So this is defined as the original value of score multiplied by 2. What's this? So this just means we can also assign value as missing explicitly. Yeah, so make sure, so to numerical missing value, so you just use a period to denote it. And so for character, so you just use, so see these 2 quotation mark, yeah, but there's nothing between these 2 quotation marks. Yeah, so this will be a numerical missing value. Okay, so yeah, so after you make changes to a dataset, so make sure to check the contents of the dataset, use a print. It is also possible to define new variable at the same time. So when we create a new statement, a new SAS dataset, so simply write the statement between input and data line statement. What I mean is, like, For example, let me show you an example. So this is the great example. So we mentioned before, right? Yeah. So like here. So this one just will create the data set. See, in between this input and the data line, so then I can insert more statement. For example, so I will say average, so as exam1 plus exam2 plus exam3 divided by 3, right? So then immediately for SAS, immediately after SAS read those variables from this data line, so SAS will continue just to calculate the average this variable as the average of exam 1, 2, and 3. Yeah. So for example, so if we run this one, you can see, so we will have namesets exam 1, 2, 3, and so then average will be AVE will be the average of these 3 variables, right? Okay. So now let's come back to this question. So basically we want to create group, right? So according to those the value of summary. Yeah. So since this is what we need to do. Yeah. Notice since we have a nested if then else, right? So you can see I want to create a data set. So name is baseball. So it starts from this data set. So if salary is smaller than 190, then yeah, so then the value of this group will be like this one. Else, yeah, so just me if the salary is greater than or equal to 190, right? So then I will continue. So if the salary is smaller than this guy, then I will assign this character string to the variable group. And else, if the salary is smaller than this one, then we will assign the value to this one and else. So basically for the remaining, the value of the group will be like this one. Okay. Yeah, so some questions. So is baseball and SAS help baseball the same data set? It is no, right? Because so here, so we didn't specify name of the library, then the name of the library will be work. Okay, so this and these are 2 different data sets. So let's run this code. It's here. Oh, I think I will show you this in a while. So let me run this part first. Probably so we only show salary and group. Yeah, because so there are too many variables. So salary and group. Okay, so we only show this one. You may notice, so seems the result may not what we want. So there are some issues. So first, for salary, so when the salary is missing, you see, when this is missing, and we assign this to a group. This may not be what we want. Yeah, because so if the salary is missing, probably so I want to assign the missing to group. So why SAS will assign the value to here? If we look at the code for this comparison, so if the value is missing, so basically, so missing value is smaller than any finite numbers. Yeah, so basically missing will be smaller than 190. Yeah, so this will be true. So then the value of a group will be this one, right? So then we need to modify the code to fix it. The other possible error is for this one, you can see between 425K, seems this is chopped, right? What's the reason? Yeah, so this is because, see, when SAS scans the code, so basically SAS will kind of scan and have an idea, so what are the possible value for group. So possible value for group just will be this string, this one, and this one, right? So SAS will set the length of the variable as the first string it read. Yeah, so basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, right? So this one has 14 characters, okay? Yeah, so then the SAS will set group, the length of the group will be 14. I think we can use proc contents to check that. Proc contents data equal baseball and run, right? You can see for the group, where is group? Group, you can see, right? See, the length of this one is 14. Yeah, so basically, then the longer string will be chopped, right? Yeah, because so this definitely is much longer than 14. Okay, so then the solution is like this one. So if you want the string, if you know, so the string may be longer, right? So then you can just directly use this length statement basically to tell SAS. So the length, what is the length you want for this variable group? Yeah, so here I want, so at least, so 25 characters. Yeah, so then I specify length, the group, $25. We have $sign because, see, do you still remember? So usually we will have a $sign for character variables. Yeah. So then we also add, so if missing, so this is a function, missing processes salary just says, so if the salary, the value is missing, so then we will assign missing value to group. Yeah, so then for others, so if else, so then will be similar as before, right? Yeah, so then we can run this part. So we can run this part. Probably, so I only show the variable for salary and group, right? Yeah, so I run this part. Okay, you can see. So now if salary is missing, so the value of group is also missing. Salary is missing, the group is missing. And so see for this string, yeah, so definitely, so then we the string is not chopped anymore. Yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah, so use length. Yeah, so this, if you have a multiple variable, and so if you want to set the length to be the same value, so you can put it in this way. So in the length, right, so you just list a name of the variable, and so in the end, so then you say $200. So you basically assign the length 200, yeah, so to these three variables. I just noticed I may forgot to explain this one. So this is just try to demonstrate, basically try to demonstrate uppercase, lowercase function, right? So for this, what is this one? I create a data set called a test, right? So input name $sign. Yeah, so in this data lines, you can see I have only one variable, right? So those are the values. So the first equals, basically equals to a logic operator, right? So this just like a comparison. So if the name equals the capital letter ABC, yeah, so then so the result will be true or false, right? Yeah, so the value will be assigned to the variable first. I think so. SAS, so basically we'll use 1 for true and 0 for false. Yeah. So this one is just, see, I just change that to uppercase, and so then I do the comparison. The third one, I just change all the characters to lowercase, and then I do the comparison. Yeah, so let's run this piece of code. You can see if you directly compare this ABC to the capital letter ABC, so only this one is true and the remaining are false, right? Yeah, but if you apply uppercase or lowercase first and then do the comparison, right? So then all of those value will be true, right? Yeah, so this just demonstrate when you do comparison for character strings. So usually, so you will either change all of them to uppercase letters or change them to lowercase letters. Okay. Yeah, so next one, generate a subset. Generate a subset. Yeah, so just you want to just select a portion of your observations, right? So there are different ways to do it. So the first one, you can use the if expression. See, for example, you say if systolic greater than 120 semicolon, and that's it. So for this one, so then SAS in the resulting dataset, SAS will only keep observations so whose systolic blood pressure is greater than 120. Yeah, so by this way, we select the observations we want to keep. So then we can use the second one is we can just select observations we want to remove, right? So you can say, for example, so if high equals t, right? So then we will delete that observation. Okay, probably so I show you example first and then we continue. Yeah, so blood new, I think so this is a new data set. I think we created slightly earlier. Yeah, so it's here, right? Okay. Yeah. So this is basically we just delete the observations we do not want, right? So if t high equals to t, then delete. Yeah. So let's try this piece of code. You can see so all the resulting observations we have values equals for high equals f, right? This is one basically we just want to keep observations. I mean keep observations if this condition met. Yeah, so you just write the condition here in the if statement. So you can check. So for all the resulting observations, so the systolic is greater than 120, right? Okay. So the last one is so we can use the while statement or maybe the while option, right? For example, in this data, right? So then in the parentheses, so you will say so where salary is not missing. Seems this is cool, right? So then we can just state this one. In fact, so it's not missing. So this is a special keywords allowed in this while statement, right? So or you can also write it as a while option. So the salary is not missing. I think so we can demonstrate that. See, I want to create a basically a complete observations, right? Yeah, so here I only show the variable of salary, right? Yeah, because the whole data set is too large. Yeah, so I run this one. You can see, so what in the resulting data set, right? So see every value, every salary has values, right? So there is no missing value. Okay. Yeah, so this one is essentially the same, right? Okay. Oh, this is too long. Yeah, but if you check the salary, this is salary, right? Yeah. So every missing, I mean every observations has a valid number, right? So there is no missing value. So basically for the where statement or the where option, so then it can accept some extra operators. Yeah, so for example, so is not missing. So this is one thing we just mentioned. So it can also use a between and. So this is used for numerical variables. For example, you can say so age between 30 and 50. Right. So it can also have contains. Contains, so just is used for characters, right? For character variables. Yeah. So see, this just means so if the region so contains so this character string. In, I think so we mentioned in already, right? So in just means so value is one of a value in the list. So we can have and or not. I think so. We mentioned those already. Okay. Yeah. So let's show some example. See, for example, so here we can print value. So where so salary is between these two values. Maybe we just only show salary because the whole data set is large. Okay, right. You can see, so it only shows the value, the salary is between 500 and 600. Yeah, so by the way, so this is include the both endpoint, right? Yeah, so this is when the name contains A and D, right? Yeah, so this is just a demonstration of this contain operator. Yeah, so let's only show list the variable name, okay? Right. You can see, so the first one, Andy, right? A-N-D. So this is Andrew, A-N-D. Yeah. So basically, as long as the name contains A-N-D, yeah. So SAS will keep it. Okay. So the last one, division not in, right? I think so. In, we discussed in, and so we can also have not in. Division, right? Yeah, so if it is not in, so SAS basically, so all the remaining will be west. Okay. Well, so we demonstrate, discussed so many, so now it's your turn. And so try to work out this exercise by yourself. So you may pause the video for a while. Okay, so I assume you've already finished your exercise. So now let's look at the exercise together. The help library has a dataset named cars. Yeah, so let's first try to check the contents of this dataset. SAS help cars, right? So run. Okay, so this is the dataset. Define new variable named div, so which is the difference between these two variables. Okay. Yeah, so then we can do that. We can create a new data set. The name is called cars, right? So then you will have set. So you start from this existing data set. So you call it this div. Div is defined as a difference of MSRP minus invoice, right? So then you use a proc print to show the contents of the resulting dataset. Run it. Let me check. See, div, right? So this is the difference of these two variables. Yeah, so MSRP and invoice. Okay. Next, define a new variable named expensive, so whose value is yes and no, right? So if the MSRP is greater than 30,000, so it is yes. So otherwise it is no. Okay, so we will discuss expensive. Oh, so basically we compare this one with 30,000, right? If this is true, so then, oh sorry, we compare the, not this one, we compare the MSRP, right? So MSRP with this one, if this is true, so then this will be yes. Yeah, notice, so this is a character string, so we need to include yes inside a quotation mark. Semicolon, okay, so then else expensive equals no. Okay, do we need to set length for expensive? For here, it is not necessary, yeah, because we know there are only two possible values. So three characters, 2 characters. And so yes is placed first, right? So the expensive, this variable will have length 3. Okay, so no string will be chopped. Yeah, so then this is fine. Let's run this one. You can see, so the last one you can see, so value will be either yes or no, right? So according to the value of MSRP. Next one, define a new variable called imported, whose value is 1 for non-US class and 0 otherwise. So which variable should we use? I think we should have a variable called origin, right? Yeah, so see, for this variable origin, so it can be Asian, can be Europe, or can be USA, right? Yeah, so basically imported for non-US car, right? Yeah, so this just means if, so you want to compare the origin with origin, right? So with USA origin. Yeah. So if this is not equal to USA, then imported will be 1, right? So else imported will be 0, right? Yeah, so this is what we want. So 1 for non-US car, right? Yeah, so we run. Let's run. Yeah, so this will be 1 and 0, right? So 0 for US car. Clear. So here I want to say so that this is not the only way to write the code, right? So I commented out. So then you can say write in this way. You can say, so if this is a USA car, right? So the value will be 0, and otherwise this will be 1. Yeah, so this is also okay. Right? Yeah, so this is also okay. So look at the last column, right? So 1 or 0. In fact, for this one, so because we just do a judgment, right? So the possible value are either 0 or 1. So that is a even more convenient way to write the code. Yeah, so you can directly write imported equals. Yeah, so origin, let me see. So not equals USA, right? So basically we just directly let this variable equals. So this logic comparison. Yeah, so basically origin. So we mentioned, so this comparison has only two possible value, true or false. Yeah, so SAS will treat true as 1, treat false as 0, right? So just means, so if this comparison is true, so basically means origin is not USA. Yeah, so then the value will be 1, so will be assigned to imported. Otherwise, it will be 0, right? You can see this one. Yeah, you can check the last column. See, so this is, it can produce the same result. Yeah, so I just remove the first two and I keep the last one. How many different origins and what are the percentage? Yeah, so this just want to check so whether you remember also what we discussed before. Yeah, so for origin, right? So you want to check how many different origin. Well, so then easy way to get frequency table. Yeah, so we use port flag data equals SAS help class, right? So then we check a frequency table for origin, right? So if you run this one, so 3 origins, so Asian, Europe, and the USA. So what are the percentage, right? So those just gives you the percentage for each type of origin. Create a subset only contains European sedan. So then seems several variables are involved. So European, so this is origin. Sedan means the body style, I think. Yeah, so the type should be sedan, right? So means the origin should be Europe, and the type should be sedan. So then we create a data set, EU, okay, so Europe, underscore cden. Okay, so we start from the SAS help class. So then I want to specify condition for the observation I want to keep, right? So I want to say origin equals Europe and type equals cden, right? So then run print data EU cden and run. Yeah, so let's run this one. See, all the origin are cden Europe, right? So basically, I only keep European sedans. Last one, create a subset for cars whose model name contains 4D. Model name, model name. See, some of them contains 4DR. So I just want to keep those with 4DR. Yeah, so then I create a data set. I call it cars 4DR, basically 4-door, right? So start from this existing data set. So then I will say, maybe let me try another one where, right? The variable name is called model, right? So where model contains 4DR, right? So if you run this one, print data equal to cars 4DR and run. Okay, right, see 4DR, right? So basically we have everything contains these 4DR. Yeah, in fact, so to be more accurate, I mean better for those code, probably so I want to write, for example, here I want to write a lowercase, yeah, just in case, right? So some of the 4DR are in capital letters, some are in the lower letters. Yeah, so usually a safe way to write the code, I mean to compare your character string, right? So you should use either lowercase or uppercase. Yeah, so for example, like this origin, so usually you may want to say maybe the lowercase, right? So then you change this everything to lowercase, right? Or maybe, for example, so this you want to do uppercase, right? So then you just change everything to uppercase. Yeah, so usually, so this is a much safer way to write your code. Yeah, but for this particular example, so not necessary, right? Because the data are nice. Yeah, so, but when you handle real data, so usually you cannot assume that. Okay. Well, so this is the end of this video.